to be able to hold them together. There's Pelly Granquist just now on the main stretch, but there is the leader of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross, Stephen Gall, on the last lap. His bike hopping all over the track, but he's in the lead, and it looks like he's now unchallenged to win this crucial fourth and final heat of Mr. Motocross today.
Only a short distance to go now for number 2, Stephen Gall, to take out this fourth leg along the short straight.
Oh, and Flood's right up there. Gall backed off so far that Trevor Flood has caught right up. Now it's Gall and Flood side by side, and Flood goes into the lead. Gall almost picking up. It's the last corner. Who can win? And it's Flood. Trevor Flood takes over the lead and wins the final heat of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross. Stephen Gall through in a second position. What a turn-up for the books. Trevor Flood came from nowhere to win Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross, leaving Stephen Gall in second position. Gall must be so upset. He just didn't expect it. He was easing off, taking it easily. And then all of a sudden from nowhere comes hard, experienced Trevor Flood. He had Gall so upset. He didn't know. He's just sitting there now. He's so upset because he thought he had it in the bag. And all of a sudden, Trevor Flood came up and he stole it from him. Stephen Gall couldn't pick himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of round 3 of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross Championship at Clarendon in South Australia, Pelly Granquist. Pelly won on 48 points, only 1 point behind him after 4 tortuous rounds, Trevor Flood on 47 points. And in third position, the young 20-year-old Sydney rider Stephen Gall on 40 points. Gall retains the lead in the Mr. Motocross Championship going into the grand final in Sydney on September the 10th on 119 points from Granquist 107 and Flood 102. Anthony Gunter, the defending champion, is back in fourth position on 88 points. To present Pelly Granquist with his winner's prize, the South Australian Minister for Tourism, Sport and Recreation, Mr. Tom Casey. And to Trevor Flood and Stephen Gall. Pelly, congratulations. How does it feel to be the winner of the third heat and the second heat, both, of Mr. Motocross?
Very good. I'm very pleased.
People said that you couldn't do it, in fact, that you were a slow starter and also that you were used to 30-minute motocrosses, but you've really proved them wrong.
Yeah, I have to sort of change my style and try to get good starts and get the speed up first in races, and I think I've succeeded in that.
There are some people who'd say that you were very fortunate that the last 2 rounds were held in muddy conditions, however, which suit your style.
Yeah, I like to run in the mud, and probably it suits my style because I can ride a long time with my foot on my foot pegs and have a good balance on the bike.
Amaroo Park is rock hard, however, and you are still some 12 points behind Stephen Gall. Can you beat him?
Oh, we have to see.
Stephen Gall, the man who expected to win the fourth heat of Mr. Motocross today until the very last corner when Trevor Flood made a blinding effort. You're in the lead in Mr. Motocross at the moment. Can you retain it?
Well, Amaroo is a good track for me, and I'll be trying extremely hard to beat Pelly, but the way Pelly's riding, he's in very good form, but anything can happen in a day of Mr. Motocross, and we'll just have to see what happens.
The man who's been called the old man of motocross, the winner of the original Mr. Motocross Championship back in 1974, and the man who's shown so much form this time, Trevor Flood. Can you get amongst them at Amaroo?
I'll try to, but there's a lot of luck in Mr. Motocross, and I think if you keep at it and put your concentration right, you've got a chance anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mr. Motocross from Clarendon in South Australia. Thank you for coming, and let's hear a big round of applause for the winners today. Welcome to the grand final of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross. After 3 aggressively fought rounds throughout Australia, the country's top riders have The last 2 rounds were fought in atrocious conditions. Today, it's beautifully sunny and the ground is hard. Will win this grand final. But first, a preliminary. Yamaha in Australia brings you Kid Motocross. On the grid now, this is a nursery series for motorcycle riders. They're all aged between 14 and 17 years of age. With me in the commentary position at the moment, 8 New South Wales commentator Noel Christensen. Noel, what are the point scores to date?
Peter Carney on bike 215 is ahead on 15 points from Scott Dolan on 310. Dolan on 12 points. Richard Dillon on number 45 is in 3rd place on 10 points. And then the first of the visitors to New South Wales in 5th place, that's Mr. Max Stefanacek from Western Australia. He's on 8 points. And after him, we've got Stephen Maddern from South Australia on 6 points.
It's very important to point out at this stage that these kids who were warned today that they're in it for the fun. They're not to race as hard as Mr. Motocross. They've been told that by the clerk of the course. But the clerk of the course isn't there now, and anything can happen. And they're away. They're racing. A jump of the bikes at the start. Bike 310 takes the lead. That's Scott Dolan on a Yamaha.
Down the back straight there, through the chicane. 215, and it's Peter Carney, the series leader, that's in front. Carney almost off the bike that time as his front end washed out on the saucer there. Now he's going through the S-bends. Final of the S-bends, now he's on the back straight. There's 2 jumps in the back straight and a sheep dip. He's over the first jump. Here he is coming up now to the second jump. There's the series leader, Peter Carney. Bike 215, the Suzuki. There he is, around the left-hand speedway bend there. Short and sharp rise there. And another severe left-hand bend, almost off the bike that time as the back wheel broke away. Used the berm to advantage. Still on Peter Carney, 215.
Carney, only 3 rides so far in open motocross like this, in Kid Motocross. Until then, he's only been on mini bikes. A tremendous effort.
What a first lap lead, too, for Peter Carney. An enormous lead as they go into lap 2. Certainly setting himself up the right way to grab that 125 Yamaha that's first prize here today. Ricky Chisholm in 2nd place. Ricky was out of the points in
2nd place, Ricky Chisholm. Behind him, number 205.
Paul Kennedy on 205. He's in 3rd place. So the leader, of course, on 215 is Peter Carney. Ricky Chisholm in 2nd place on 91. And Paul Kennedy on 205. There they are, through the chicane and onto the main straight.
In 2nd position, Ricky Chisholm leading a hard field of little bikes here. The parents all almost as enthusiastic as their youngsters in this sort of competition. The leader, Peter Carney's father, is John Carney, a noted long-distance enduro rider, and the whole family, of course, are motocross enthusiasts. Peter's sister, in fact, Natalie, is just 11 years of age. Last year, she was second in the girls' motocross series held in New South Wales. And there's the leader, Peter Carney, 15-year-old, a 9th-year student at Cessnock High School in New South Wales. He's been riding for 3.5 years, but on mini bikes. This is the first time he's been on the tight, twisting Amaroo Park circuit, and it's only the 3rd time he's been racing on a 125cc machine. On the second event, only last weekend at Jillaby Park in northern New South Wales, he fell off and broke his left hand. He has a broken bone in his left hand, but it's not stopping him. These riders riding on a shorter circuit than will the Mr. Motocross contestants later in the day. They don't contest the full circuit. Tremendous bike control from young Peter Carney. They're riding high on the berms. He's a nice young man, blonde-haired, freckled-faced, a really excellent young youth.
Well, as you can see, John, there's no one inside. He's cut loose from the field now, Peter Carney, and wrapping the series up, I'd say, if he stays on the bike until the end. So they've got about 2 laps to go. He could get the blue flag this time around, which signifies 1 lap to go. But Peter Carney doing nothing wrong, showing plenty of style and speed, and running the bike well indeed.
This is called kid motocross, but of course in just 2 or 3 years' time, young Peter Carney could be one of the lead contestants in the Mr. Motocross Championship. Motocross itself is a young man's sport. The current Mr. Motocross champion, until this afternoon, of course, is Anthony Gunter, and Gunter is just 21 years of age. Stephen Gall, currently in the lead in the Mr. Motocross Championship, is 20, and Mark Pace, the young man on the Kentucky Fried Chicken Honda, is just 19 years of age. Peter Carney, sponsored on his Suzuki even now.
He rides for Alan Craig Motorcycles at Billaroo, John. Here he is now. He's on the main chute. No, down the back straight he's going. He's got less than half a lap to go before the checkered flags, and also the first prize, the YZ125E Motocrosser.
Riders
having a look over the shoulder. There's no one there, Peter. You're out on your own, son.
Riders come from throughout Australia for this event, as far afield as Perth. Young Mark Least has flown all the way from Perth, but he's had to give it away to 15-year-old Cessnock rider Peter Carney, now coming up to the checkered flag, and there's no one to stop him. Peter Carney becomes the first kid motocross for New South Wales and for Australia. Kid motocross champion, Peter Carney. In second place,
number 91,
Ricky Chisholm on a Suzuki. There's Ricky Chisholm on a Suzuki. And then the rest of the field. No disgrace for coming way down the field here, because they're all young, they're inexperienced, and they've tried ever so hard here at Mr. Motocross, Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross from Amaroo Park in New South Wales.
We'd like Mr. Ken Booth to come forward as the Minister for Sport and Recreation. Mr. Booth, of course, was one of the politicians instrumental in the relaxation of the New South Wales Speedway Act, which prevented youngsters of the calibre of Peter Carney from competing in motorcycle sport. Mr. Booth, would you like to say a few words on the junior competition and what it means?
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate all the 14 to 17-year-olds that have been participating so successfully over about the last 18 months. I think it's proved quite definitely that there is a place for these young fellows to come forward in motocross and in bike riding generally, and I'm very pleased with the way the people who promote and organise the sport for these young fellas are doing so well. It's vindicated all that we've tried to do in encouraging them. The most important thing today is I'm from Newcastle and Peter's from Cessnock, and that adds a little bit more to the enjoyable day I've had. Thank you very much.
You've backed the winner electorally anyway. Thank you, Mr. Booth, and thank you, Peter. You'll do a victory lap, and after that we'll be set. The stage will be set for the 1978 Grand Final of the Mr. Motocross Series.
The first round of the Mr. Motocross Series. 4 heats, each of 6 laps on this tight, twisting Tivoli Garden circuit.
Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross has been a savagely fought series. It all began at the Tivoli circuit in Queensland. The weather was hot, the track hard-packed and dusty, and twice Mr. Motocross champion Anthony GUNTER was invincible.
GUNTER now moving down towards the S-bends, hard on the brakes. Sporting the beautiful coloured Pepsi Cola jacket on this brilliantly coloured yellow Suzuki. Has a look over the shoulder, no one within sight of him. Anthony GUNTER, Mr. Motocross 1977 as he goes around the big sweeper down the back part of the circuit, about to come up through Pepsi Cola.
Places as they take this second heat. Anthony GUNTER in the lead, Stephen Gall second, and young Mark Pace on the 250 Honda has now moved up into third position in the second heat of Mr. Motocross.
The first corner at Tivoli is a tunnel, narrow and dangerous. With nerves raw, the hard-packed field of riders found it an almost insurmountable obstacle.
Looks like they could have been Peter Boyle.
Oh,
Got 1, 2, 3, 4 down.
Everywhere. There's 1 bike down, 2 bikes down, 3 bikes down.
Watch South Australian rider Ken Bowie in the middle of this melee. "20-year-old Sydney rider Stephen Gall seemed out of contention during round 1. Everything possible went wrong.
Corner. Gall in a great deal of trouble now because up behind him comes Mr. Motocross 1977 and wants to make it 78. That's Anthony GUNTER. GUNTER coming up the outside. Under brakes, they go through the S-bend. Mike Lamman now in a great deal of trouble as Stephen Gall and Anthony GUNTER sitting right on them. Mike Lamman, then followed by Gall and GUNTER. GUNTER up the inside and he's got Gall. GUNTER now moves into second position. GUNTER now moves into second position with Gall relegated back into third.
First, his bike stopped.
And would you believe Stephen Gall, inside of the checkered flag after falling on the first lap, has stopped. He's stopped, he's kicking the bike, he's about 200 metres back from the start, and now he's pushing his bike. He's torn his goggles off, torn off his visor, and he's now pushing the bike to the start. 1, 2, 3 riders go past him. Look at him, the man's exhausted. He's ridden somewhere in the region of 18 laps of this circuit, fallen off, his insides are hurting, and he's pushing the bike. He wants to get to that start because if he can get there soon, he might pick up 1 or 2 points, and it'll make all the difference in the Motocross Series when it reaches Anne-Marie Park in September for the grand final. His pit crew running beside him now, and he's got it. He's got the checkered flag.
You say about hard, he's got a heart as big as this country.
He's collapsed, he's history. Oh, that's Stephen Gall, the man with the biggest heart on the circuit. Look at him at the moment. But I'd reckon he's in about 8th, 9th or maybe 10th position, and maybe that's 1 point.
Despite this gallant effort, Gall finished 11th in the heat, out of points contention. Then GUNTER, storming through the field, went straight into Gall's Yamaha, forcing both of them to a halt.
It's Anthony GUNTER snapping at the back wheel of Stephen Gall. Now Gall's machine, all it's got to do is hold together for another 3 laps, and he's got this one shot to pieces. Up the inside comes Anthony GUNTER. GUNTER trying a big inside pass up round Castrol. Not quite good enough. Stephen Gall manages to kick it out, down over the jump in the main straight, down towards the S-bend.
1 minute 21.6 seconds, a new lap record to both riders now. And it's both of them down. No, Gall's up, GUNTER's come down. His bike's caught in the back of Gall's bike. Gall can't get moving. GUNTER's pulled it out now. The first rider has gone through, 2, 3. So they're both now trying to kickstart their bikes. Gall's off in 4th position. GUNTER's still trying to kickstart. He's back into 7th position at this stage. GUNTER ran right up the back of Gall, and he's away in 8th spot. 8th spot on the from the start. So it's Anthony GUNTER off in 4th position, and Anthony GUNTER in 8th position, and Stephen Gall back in about 4th.
At the end of a hard-fought day, Anthony GUNTER led the series by just 1 point from Stephen Gall and 19-year-old Mark Pace on the 250cc Honda. From Queensland to the second round at Wallen in Victoria, it was freezing, and the track, twisting and turning up a sheer mountainside, was muddy.
Now, coming up now, it's Stephen Gall. Gall now leads from GUNTER, and Mike Landman, number 45, in the picture in 3rd position.
Bikes all over the hill now as they stream up into the next one, but they're our leaders, and it's Stephen Gall. Stephen Gall's lost it to Anthony GUNTER's back in the lead with Mike Landman hard pressing. Gall's given it away. Gall had a big problem just before we started with Mr. Motocross. He blew his gearbox in a preliminary event, and he had to put a new engine in the bike. And in fact, by the look of it, because Gall is just sitting disconsolately beside his bike, and it looks like Gall's out of it, his new engine has not worked.
It was Pele Grandquist country. The pace of the series and the state of the track claimed its victims. Victorian Mike Landman on the Millage Motorcraft Yamaha was the first to go.
But look at Landman going round the outside. Landman's got other ideas about this sort of action in this one. He's down.
Oh, there's a big ball.
Bikes in all directions.
Of them down, and it's Landman down. Landman's fallen. Landman, the winner of Heat 1, has tried desperately to win Heat 2, and instead he's brought himself down and brought a couple of the other field with him. And there's Stephen Gall, 21-year-old Stephen Gall from Sydney, out in the lead in the second heat of Mr. Motocross. Landman receiving treatment there. He's down and he's hurt. It's very rarely that a rider will hurt himself too badly in motocross, but Landman was trying so dreadfully hard up that big hill.
Then went Mr. Motocross, Anthony Gunter, crashing from contention. It looked like Granquist's day.
Oh, doesn't this big Swede come good when he gets warmed up?
It's serious business, this Mr. Motocross. And Stephen Gall is the one that's really treating it as super top business. Granquist wants a share of the action. He wants a share of the money too. And he's trying and pressing Gall all the way up the TAA hill there. Round they go and right in each other's slipstream, as it were, as far as Granquist is concerned. But the clean number plate, Stephen Gall, the leader at this stage.
Mr. Motocross, Anthony Gunter, way back, has passed Trevor Flood, but he's still out of major contention. There's the leaders. Stephen Gall, Kelly Granquist. Stephen Gall still in the lead. Gall trying oh so hard, but look at Granquist on this 390 Husqvarna. Such a big man on the bike.
Such an expert rider too, John. We know that he came to Australia only recently, was treated firstly as a C rider, and then all of a sudden they found that he was a little bit better than that, and we can certainly see the prowess of Kelly Granquist, number 78 there, hot on the tail of Stephen Gall.
Hall's inside him, this is it. Granquist takes the lead. Granquist takes the lead in the motocross as they come back onto the main straight. Granquist through.
Well, now it's Stephen Gall's turn to get some mud on that number plate as Granquist leads the field and leads it very convincingly indeed.
But young Stephen Gall had other ideas. In a charging, heart-stopping run, Gall stormed into major contention.
Here comes Stephen Gall once again along the front banana straight here of Wallen. Oh, jumping all over the place, the bike bouncing from one side of the track to the other. Not worrying him in the slightest. The cable, which has obviously come off the machine, seems to have disappeared completely. So it's a wheel stand to the finish for Stephen Gall. There's the check flag. Stephen Gall takes out another round here at Owen Park, Wallen.
When it was over, Anthony Gunter still held the narrowest of points leads, but Stephen Gall and Pelly Granquist had moved into major contention. The third round, Adelaide, the Clarendon circuit, and more mud. This time, no one could beat Granquist. He won the first three heats at a gallop, then crashed in the fourth.
Granquist there, you can see how he gets down over the back wheel, getting the power down, keeping the front wheel up, dabs that apex. He's such a consistent rider. He rides almost exactly the same line on every lap, and that's despite mud, bumps, and underneath this mud there's a hard rock base, which again is very, very difficult for the riders to manage. Sometimes they do find the rock base and it can really throw them, but Granquist handling so easily. There's Stephen Gall back in third position, taking it far more easily.
Gall realising at this stage that so close to the final flag, there's no point in overdoing things, and prepared to settle it out for this leg, waiting for the next leg. And it's all Pelly Granquist, number 78. Granquist going around the outside of riders. Makes no difference, inside or outside. He just seems to go through whatever way.
A third of a lap to go. Granquist coming round now, round the Pepsi quarry for the first time. He's only got just a few hundred yards to go, a few hundred metres, the last jump, and here comes Granquist. There's the checkered flag for Pelly Granquist, winner of the first round of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross at Clarendon in South Australia.
Stephen Gall, floundering in the quagmire conditions, seemed to have the last heat sewn up, but then came a charging run from motocross veteran Trevor Flood.
But there is the leader of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross, Stephen Gall, on the last lap. His bike hopping all over the track, but he's in the lead, and it looks like he's now unchallenged to win this crucial fourth and final heat of Mr. Motocross today.
Only a short distance to go now for number 2, Stephen Gall, to take out this fourth leg along the short straight.
Oh, and Flood's right up there. Gall backed off so far that Trevor Flood has caught right up. Now it's Gall and Flood side by side, and Flood goes into the lead. Gall almost it's the last corner. Who can win? And it's Flood. Trevor Flood takes over the lead and wins the final heat of Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross. Stephen Gall through in the second position. What a turn-up for the looks. Trevor Flood came from nowhere to win Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross, leaving Stephen Gall in second position. Gall must be so upset. He just didn't expect it. He was easing off, taking it easily, and then all of a sudden from nowhere comes hard experienced Trevor Flood. Yet Gall's so upset. He didn't know. He's just sitting there now. He's so upset because he thought he had it in the bag, and all of a sudden Trevor Flood came up and he stole it from him. Stephen Gall could kick himself.
Nonetheless, Gall had taken the series lead. Anthony Gunter, still recovering from injuries at Wallen, was now out of major contention. With only today's grand final remaining, Gall must win to clinch the series. He can't afford to let Granquist get in front of him. Coming up after this break, Pepsi Golden Breed Mr. Motocross from Amaroo Park. 78. In the lead on 119 points, 20-year-old Sydney rider Stephen Gall riding Yamaha. Behind him on 107 points, the Super Swede, Pelle Granquist on Husqvarna. Then in third position, the original Mr. Motocross, the winner of the series in 1974, Victorian Trevor Flood, also on Yamaha. And then the current Mr. Motocross champion, winner of the series for 2 successive years, Anthony Gunter. Now, after a successive series of crashes, almost in an impossible position on 88 points. Mr. Motocross in 1978 has taken a huge toll on riders. Young Mark Pace, the 19-year-old Sydney rider, is racing today with a broken leg. Mark Pace, you've been riding a 250cc machine against the 400s. You've done everything. You've tried so hard. You've crashed, you've burnt, you've done just about everything but give your soul for the sport. Now you're riding with a broken leg. What can you hope to achieve today?
Well, it's the last round of Mr. Motocross, the grand final, and it's possibly the best chance that you have of impressing sponsors for the up-and-coming season. If you do well on today, your bad performances throughout the year are forgotten.
Anthony Gunter, you're in 4th position in the Mr. Motocross Championship today, almost hopeless in fact. What can you do to win at this stage?
The only thing I can do to win it is for Steve to not finish a couple of races and Pelle not finish a race.
Well, it seems pretty hopeless. Can it come off?
Well, anything's possible in Mr. Motocross, but I doubt it very much.
What do you do today then? Do you ride covering tactics for Stephen Gall, or do you go out to win yourself?
Well, I'll be going out to win and also to try and get in the first 3.
You look like a big chance in the Mr. Motocross this year. You won the first round of the series at Tivoli Park in Queensland, and then you crashed twice at Wallen. How did you feel about that Wallen day?
I was very disappointed after Wallen. It's a bad day, but you always have a bad day now and again.
The crash was a huge one. What did you think about it?
Well, apart from the fact that people were going everywhere, and so I don't think there was a great deal of officials at the corner, and there's just guys going everywhere, and that's the reason why I got injured, because I got hit in the back by a bike that came off the track and hit me.
In round 3, of course, at Adelaide only a few weeks ago, you rode, well, not like we were used to seeing Anthony come to ride. What happened there?
Well, mainly the mud. I'm not a mud rider. I'd rather have the dry, and it's just one of those things that happen.
Well, today it's dry and it's hard and it's fast.
Yeah, I'll be out there trying very hard.
Trevor Flood, you're in 3rd position in the motocross today. What are your tactics to win?
Well, I'm going to try and just get out in front and stay there, but I think it all depends if I can get the start and just hope to stay there. That's the main thing, yeah.
You stormed into contention in the motocross with a brilliant last lap finishing effort in Adelaide a few weeks ago. Can you do the same sort of thing again in Sydney?
Well, I hope so. I think I was playing it a bit careful, but now if you want to win it, you've got to go as fast as you can. It's as simple as that.
Pelle Granquist, you're 12 points behind Stephen Gall today. What does it take to win Mr. Motocross?
Well, theoretically I have to win all the races, and if Stephen comes second, we have the same points in the end. Then I would win, because I win the last rounds.
How difficult is it going to be to win all the races in Mr. Motocross today?
Very difficult, very. Especially here, because you have to have a good start here.
You won the last 2 rounds of Mr. Motocross in mud conditions. They're like you've experienced at home in Sweden. You might say that you were running on your home tracks in the last 2 rounds. Here you're on hard, fast motocross track. It's not your sort of conditions.
It's not my best conditions, but I can ride fast on this too. And we'll have to see how it goes today.
Stephen, what's happened to your hand?
Well, 2 weeks ago at Foster Park, I had my first serious crash of the year, and I fell off at about 50 mile an hour at the end of the main straight there, and I've sprained the hand. Nothing's broken in it, but it's not real good for today's racing.
Well, this track is very hard on a rider. Can you, in fact, keep up the effort after over 24 laps?
Well, I'm hoping so. If my hand holds up, I'm confident that my ability will be able to, so I'll just try extremely hard.
How do you win,